Every biological organism radiates subtle cues of its internal state, and human attraction is no exception. From an evolutionary perspective, sexual selection favored individuals who displayed vitality, stability, and the promise of genetic fitness. When a man practices semen retention, or, more precisely, learns to manage his sexual impulses, the body undergoes measurable endocrine changes. Testosterone levels, which naturally fluctuate throughout the day, may stabilize or slightly elevate during short-term abstinence, while dopamine receptor sensitivity improves due to reduced overstimulation. This internal balance produces a distinct outer composure, steady eye contact, lower voice tonality, slower breathing, and reduced anxiety micromovements. Women, who subconsciously read such nonverbal signals through mirror neurons and limbic resonance, interpret these as signs of grounded strength and dependable presence. In biological language, semen retention is not about magical magnetism, but about optimizing hormonal rhythm, a kind of endocrine coherence that communicates I have control over myself. Control itself, as numerous studies in behavioral ecology show, has always been a primal marker of dominance and health. A calm man in control of his drives signals safety, confidence, and potential leadership qualities to which the female nervous system is evolutionarily attuned. Hormones, neurochemistry, and the masculine field. Modern neuroscience reveals that attraction is largely a hormonal dialogue between two nervous systems. Testosterone, oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin all play intricate roles in shaping how men and women perceive each other. Men who chronically deplete themselves through overstimulation, excessive sexual release, digital dopamine loops, or unregulated stress often experience reduced baseline testosterone, impaired focus, and lowered drive. Their energy field, in social terms, feels restless or scattered. In contrast, men who maintain hormonal balance through disciplined living, which can include retention, exercise, and mindfulness, exhibit increased dopaminergic integrity and higher androgen receptor sensitivity. Women unconsciously detect this hormonal signature not through abstract awareness but through microbehavior. A steadier gaze, less neediness, slower speech rhythm, and an effortless charisma born of chemical equilibrium. This biochemical poise can trigger in women a complementary oxytocin-dopamine response, the feeling of curiosity, emotional safety, and subtle attraction. What is fascinating is that the hypnosis of attraction does not lie in physical looks alone, but in the neurochemical resonance between two regulated nervous systems. When a man's biology broadcasts self-control, the woman's mirror neurons pick up that frequency, associating it with maturity, security, and fertility. The invisible triad that has guided mate choice across millennia. Psychological projection and the aura of control beyond biology lies psychology. And it's here that semen retention takes on symbolic power. In Jungian and cognitive behavioral terms, a disciplined man represents order within chaos, a figure who has integrated instinct rather than being ruled by it. Women, socialized to seek emotional safety and depth in partners, often respond to this archetype of mastery. The retention practitioner, by moderating his impulses, cultivates delayed gratification, focus, and self-respect traits that project through body language and micro-expression. Research in social cognition shows that people unconsciously project internal states onto others. Calm individuals induce calmness, while anxious individuals trigger defensive mirroring. Thus, a retained man's composure becomes a psychological anchor in social dynamics. His confidence is quiet rather than performative. His attention, undivided rather than desperate. This quality creates what psychologists call a parasympathetic contagion. Others feel more grounded in his presence. Women interpret that as magnetism because, subconsciously, their nervous system feels regulated around him. It is not lust that he transmits, but serenity, and serenity, paradoxically, becomes the strongest aphrodisiac in an overstimulated world. When a woman senses that her emotions stabilize around a man, she interprets it as attraction, but its roots are neuropsychological harmony. Energetic presence and the mirror of attention. Energy in human terms is attention, the ability to focus consciousness without fragmentation. Semen retention, as part of a broader practice of self-regulation, refines that focus. Studies on meditation and mindfulness show that consistent control over impulses strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for decision-making, empathy, and long-term planning. As this executive function strengthens, a man's presence deepens. He listens more fully, speaks with intention, and moves with calm certainty. Women are highly sensitive to such attentional quality. When a man's gaze is steady yet non-possessive, when his body language expresses both confidence and respect, it activates in her mirror neurons the same state of calm alertness. This mutual attunement can feel hypnotic, not because of mysticism, but because two nervous systems have synchronized in rhythm and safety. In social psychology, this is known as limbic resonance, a biological empathy that underlies bonding and desire. The man who retains his energy literally retains his awareness. he no longer leaks it through distraction or compulsion. That retained awareness becomes a field, subtle, yet tangible, that others feel as presence. In a modern culture addicted to scattered attention, such presence stands out sharply, and women, wired to read social signals of emotional availability and focus, instinctively gravitate toward it. The modern relevance, scarcity of centered masculinity in contemporary society, overstimulation is epidemic. Endless digital novelty, rapid sexual imagery, and instant gratification have rewired male neurochemistry toward compulsive seeking. This environment creates a scarcity of grounded men, individuals who embody stability amid chaos. From an evolutionary psychology standpoint, scarcity increases perceived value. What is rare becomes desirable. Therefore, when a woman encounters a man who radiates composure, discipline, and quiet confidence, she experiences cognitive contrast, the rare sense of meeting someone whose nervous system is not pulled outward but anchored inward. Research on attraction patterns confirms that women value traits, signaling emotional self-sufficiency and goal orientation, both of which are enhanced by practices that moderate impulsivity. Semen retention, within this framework, becomes a symbolic counterculture habit. It rejects the dopamine-driven cycles that dominate modern male behavior. The resulting hormonal steadiness and emotional centeredness create a psychosocial signal of authenticity. A woman may not know why she feels drawn to such a man, but her subconscious registers him as different, safe, and focused. It's not the abstinence itself she desires. It's the stability that abstinence represents. His discipline communicates that he values purpose over pleasure, and that value alignment forms the subconscious bedrock of mature attraction. Integration, beyond retention, toward wholeness ultimately. The true essence of semen retention is not suppression, but transformation. The conversion of instinct into intention, biological energy, when redirected, fuels higher cognitive and emotional capacities, creativity, patience, and resilience. The practice becomes a training ground for self-leadership. From a neuroendocrine perspective, consistent self-control enhances the brain's dopaminergic efficiency, allowing motivation without dependence on constant reward. Psychologically, it fosters what Viktor Frankl called self-transcendence, the capacity to act from meaning rather than impulse. When a man reaches this level of inner coherence, he no longer seeks validation. His mere presence emanates direction. Women, perceiving this authenticity, feel drawn not to his retention but to his wholeness, the integration of drive, discipline, and emotional warmth. The so-called hypnosis of attraction is thus a resonance of integrity. In scientific terms, it is limbic synchronization between two nervous systems tuned to safety and vitality. In spiritual terms, it is the merging of polarity through respect. In social terms, it is the re-emergence of masculine leadership that heals rather than dominates. The modern man who learns to manage his biology instead of being mastered by it embodies a quiet revolution, and the woman who senses it recognizes, perhaps unconsciously, that such presence is not merely desirable but rare. Semen retention, therefore, is not a trick of attraction, it is a discipline of becoming, and the magnetic pull that follows is the natural language of nature, responding to harmony. Before we conclude, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and do not forget to drop your location in the comments. I'd love to know where you are watching from, and if you ever have any questions, join our Telegram channel where we interact directly and help each other grow. The link is in the description.